got something pretty exciting today. New piece of gear. Just came out today. It's sitting below me, and I think it wants to reveal itself. Come on, baby, come on. Oh, you're so cute. The Ronin S2. This is pretty sweet. So today, Ronin S2. I rarely ever do gear reviews or anything kind of like that on this channel anymore. But when DJI hit me up and said, hey, we want to change your mind about gimbals and we want to send you our new Ronin S2 to test and play out, I said, yes, why not? Let's do it. So we have the new Ronin S2 out now. And I'm gonna do a little review video for you guys today. So over the past few months, I've had my hands on this. I've got a chance to just kind of really play around with it, have some fun, as well as my buddy Travis, who's been, actually he's behind the camera. Come here real quick, Travis, real quick. So this is Travis. We had this for a few months, just kind of playing around with it. The reason I brought Travis in is because he actually has the first version of this, which is the Ronin S.
Yeah, the Ronin S.
Ronin S. And so, you know, not only did I want to try and like get some experience with it and give a personal review on it from someone who, you know, doesn't really use gimbals, doesn't own a gimbal, see how I liked it, how easy and user-friendly it was for someone who doesn't use gimbals at all and hasn't in a very long time, but then get the opinion of someone who has the version before this. And see what his thoughts were on it. So every time I tested this thing out and we used it, Travis was right there beside me. So I'll give you my input on it from someone who's just fresh eyes completely to this gimbal as well as most gimbals, and he can give a perspective on, you know, just someone who had the previous version of this as the new version has just come out. Yeah. He will be back here in a second. So before I dive into my personal opinions on it, what I thought I liked about it, or any of that kind of stuff, I want to get the technical kind of jargon and tech specs and key features out of the way first. It weighs 2.86 pounds and it can carry a 10-pound tested payload, equipped with enhanced motors that can load small to medium-sized cinema cameras, including the Canon EOS 1DX Mark III, or in our case, the Blackmagic Pocket 6K cinema camera, which is what we used a lot when testing this thing out. It has outstanding stabilization, upgraded algorithm and tracking, Titan stabilization algorithm, unrivaled stabilization even at 100mm equivalent focal length. It supports versatile shooting scenarios. NATO ports on both sides allow users to hold the gimbal with both hands or switch to briefcase mode. The universal base mount supports different remote shooting scenarios, Steadicam, jib, car, slider, or cable cam, with the Ronin expansion base kit. Now, one of the favorite features of mine that I'm about to touch on is the built-in full color touchscreen that controls everything right there. Built-in full color touchscreen used to check gimbal status and adjust the parameters. Displays live camera view and subjects when using active track, so you can control every function right through this. You no longer need to have the app open on your phone and kind of that easily, like I don't own any Ronins before this or whatever, but I can just tell you right off the bat that that is easily the best selling point for me of this thing. Is I know in the past I've seen people use Ronins, I've used them before, and to have to like do the app, your phone's running low on battery, or you gotta just connect and you're trying to hold this, but then you have to like set this down or hold your phone and change a parameter somehow. So the fact that I can just right here, just boom, take down the strength, intensity, let's switch it to roll mode, unlock, follow, track, all right here, boom, let's go. Like to not have to leave this out of your sight, just right here, the speed of that, that alone is worth the new upgrade in my opinion, but we'll get into more details of all the upgrades and all that in a second. The focus control system, dual focus wheels, the built-in front dial, and the traditional Ronin focus wheel gives two focus control options. Raven Eye image transmission system. It enables Active Track 3.0 where the user selects and follows a subject via the trigger and the touchscreen. The Ronin app gives you a 1080p live view. The transmission range is up to 100 meters. The latency depends on the camera and the scenario. The module can be used separately from the gimbal. So the structural design of this thing. A dual layer quick release plates compatible with Manfrotto and Arca. You can quickly set up without repetitive rebalancing and balancing. Fine-tuned adjustment knobs help balance the payloads more efficiently. More smooth when moving the axis arm. New mechanical 3-axis lock. That's what I really like about this thing, is actually the lock of all the axis. So there's little switches here, and you just can lock them into place when traveling or moving around so that you don't have this thing flopping everywhere. So that's a cool little upgrade, and something I just noticed right off the bat, because I just know most gimbals, you like pull it out of the bag or whatever and it's just kind of flopping around. So to be able to lock that is great. So you just turn that, it unlocks. Same thing, boom, here, and the last one is here. So instead of this thing pulling out and flying and flopping everywhere, when you're traveling, moving on a shoot, you set it down, you don't want it to move, you just flip those, and boom, it's locked in place. You can lock it down this way too. So you can lock it down this way too, so when you're traveling, you just pull this out, goes right into the bag, as so, it's locked. Here's the handle on the bottom piece, but yeah, pretty cool feature. I think that's something that's really helpful and beneficial, actually. Detachable camera mounting plate for rapid mounting of the Ronin vertical camera mount. And the new Ronin BG30 grip cartridge design. I love how the battery is this handle. So literally the whole battery to this thing is this right here. So you charge the handle is the battery, the handle goes right in, it's good to go. So it's cool, it just pops really easily right in there. You get up to 12 hours of battery life. It supports 24W fast charging and can be fully charged in just 1.5 hours. The size and weight of the battery have been reduced by approximately 50% since the previous version. So really long battery life, charges quickly, smaller and lighter. And yeah, that was one thing I think even Travis mentioned right away when he picked it up for the first time, is that it was significantly lighter than the previous model. And that's just all thanks to the new design, new tech, the handle, yeah, and just their new ingenuity. And so, yeah, right away, like you could carry this thing all day long. It barely feels like anything. So I wrote some notes down here. When I went out and tested it with my buddy, he had the red Komodo. And so we went out, put the red Komodo on this, very first time, tried to test it out. And this was some of my pros and cons. So the first pro, I loved the locking feature to not only build the camera and build the Ronin out, to have it locked and not moving around right away made the building of the whole rig and building the camera out way faster. So I really liked the whole locking feature. Number two, and the biggest one, I don't know why I even have it number two, it should be number one, the touchscreen on the back. Just was able to dial in everything without having to pull up the app on my phone, change the stiffness and the roll and the just everything about it. Was able to do everything right from this little touchscreen dial. So that was massive and huge. And I think honestly is a reason you should buy this gimbal in and of itself. The other pro, super lightweight, the design, kind of some of the things that I talked on with the tech specs. Lastly, super easy to balance. I feel like most people on set have a really hard time balancing gimbals, and it takes forever. And just right out of the gate, when we threw the Komodo on, it was really easy to balance right away. And I think because the motors are also stronger and more advanced, we didn't have to dial it in so perfect to the point where it still worked really well, even though I don't have the best experience balancing these things. And even though it probably wasn't fully correctly balanced, it still worked really, really well. And I didn't have any issues with it glitching out on me. So I think, kudos to the easy to balance, stronger motors. So yeah. All right, so right off the bat, my first time using it, those were my pros. That's what I thought was great about it. And now the cons. So the con was that there's a phone mount that comes with this that kind of sits off to the side here. And there was a couple times where I tried to like go down with the gimbal and rotate, and then the gimbal would like kind of hit my phone and it would kind of like trip for a second and then reset itself. So that was just like a little goof that kind of happened a few times. So one of the other cons is we actually tried to attach a matte box to the front of the Komodo, and because of the way the mounting plate sat with the Komodo in particular, it just wouldn't fit on here. And so I would have liked to, you know, we could probably make it work with a different matte box or some longer rod so the matte box sat out further, but with our specific setup with the Komodo and the small 50 mil pancake lens, the matte box was just, it couldn't get out far enough, and so we couldn't balance it on here with the matte box. Again, not a major con, that was just super particular to the setup we had, so I don't see people having that issue all the time. That's just something that happened with us. And at the end of the day, a gimbal is a gimbal. You still, as much as it's out there balancing and taking out shakes and movement, you still need to walk the right way. You still need to handle it the right way. Just because it's a new advanced model gimbal, you can't just run around like this and shaking and moving. Like there were times where I noticed little jitters or whatever, and it's because you still, at the end of the day, you have to be smooth with it. You can't just sprint full speed and expect this thing to just beautifully glide. Although it does a really good job at it, you still need to operate it correctly. You can't just be out there jumping around, taking really hard bouncing steps. So just being, smooth with your operation, that's just like a final note, something I didn't think about going into it, because I'm just like, oh yeah, no matter what I do, it should just absolutely look like it's floating through the air. So right out the gate, we tested it. Me and Travis tested it. I'm gonna have him come up and say a few things, but we tested it at our new film and photo studio, going around just getting a couple test shots of our new space. I did a full tour video of my property, the Eclectic West, where I did like an MTV crib style tour. That whole thing was filmed with the Ronin S2 on the Blackmagic. We had the Blackmagic on there.
So guys, the Ronin S2 is here. This last month I've had the opportunity to test it out on different shoots that we've been doing. We have a bunch of test footage. Jake will show you guys some of that test footage in this video. But the first thing that I loved as soon as I opened up this case, just all the parts and stuff completely organized, 2 layers in there, lightweight. You don't have that little briefcase, styrofoam briefcase from the old one, which is kind of annoying to travel with. Very easy to build and balance. Once we got the camera on there, they actually have this little adjustment knob right here on the side. So for the tilt, you can just slide that the mounting plate right in there and just tune it right here without having to like slide the complete camera, which was kind of annoying on the old one. That was the first thing I loved on it. And then there's 3 access pivots on there, so I can like unlock them. So instead of taking it out of the bag when it was all flimsy before, these are extremely helpful for building and balancing. So on the previous Ronin, I had the Blackmagic on there. It is a heavier camera and it's a wider camera, so you had to get like some aftermarket pieces and stuff for it to fit on there, and it just didn't balance correctly how you wanted to. I always had to add like extra weight to it and different things. And with this guy, we had no problem balancing the Blackmagic and the Komodo onto this. Took maybe 5-10 minutes to get it completely balanced, and it was ready to go for the first time. So yeah, on the first one, the original Ronin S, you always had to pull out your phone every time you want to use it when you need to calibrate or balance or change any of the settings. Right here on the new Ronin S2, there is a touch screen right on the back, complete settings. You can choose different modes, focus modes, tracking modes, and all the calibration settings are in here. It's very simple to use. You can also see playback, and it's a live feed from the camera directly on this monitor here. It's probably like, so the new 360 roll, extremely smooth. It is a setting, you just go into here and hit 360 roll. The camera will set up, and you can actually hit this dial right here and double click it, and it will roll, continuously roll, so you don't have to sit there and hold it down to one of the sides. This build is extremely light. They decreased the size of the battery, so these batteries are like, I think 50% lighter and smaller than the previous battery. So on the previous model, I would always mount my focus motor and dial right here, or pull focus on the side. They included this new dial, so it's right here on the right where your finger lands when you're holding the Ronin S with two hands right here. Just using your index finger, you can pull focus now, which is just extremely cool, instead of having to take one hand off to pull focus. So now you have two hands, you're more balanced, you're more sturdy, so you're gonna have smoother shots that way.
Thank you, Travis, for that. So that's coming from someone who owned the previous model of this and all the things that he now likes so much better about this model and all the cool new upgrades that they have. One thing he touched on that I do really quickly want to touch on is this new case. This is the case. So this thing comes fully broken down and fits right in this really easily. You just break it down, set it inside. There's all the compartments and components in here. So I love how small and travel ready this thing is. I don't know what the previous model looked like, but Travis had mentioned, you know, it was bigger, a little clunkier. And so the way that this thing really breaks down, folds down, and fits in the carrying case that it comes with, it's pretty awesome. And I think, you know, definitely a bonus for this thing. Thank you guys for watching my take or review on the new Ronin S2. Stay tuned. You know, shortly, a few days after this, or, you know, not long from now, Travis did a complete balance, how to set up and balance this new Ronin video. We'll be dropping that on this channel. So if you want to see like all the pieces and parts and how to, you know, easily put it all together and balance it and get the best, you know, possible, you know, settings and whatnot out of this thing, that video will be dropping on this channel, and Travis will be showing you guys how that is done and how to do that for this guy. So thank you guys for watching. Drop a like, comment, let me know if you guys think this is a cool piece of gear. And yeah, stay tuned for some more exciting stuff coming up with this in the following weeks. Peace, guys.